today when we're factoring our trinomials, now a is not going to be equal to 1. And so we have to use, you know, it's a little bit more entailed. So the book shows you one way. The book does not show you the way that I do it. I think the book's way is confusing. Hopefully this will make more sense to you. If you're like, I can't even get this, and you want to try and look and see if the textbook's way of teaching you how to do it works better for you, by all means, go with it, okay? But what we're going to do is we're actually going to use the diamond method that we've already learned, and then we're also going to use factoring by grouping, which we've already learned. So I'm introducing nothing new here. So what the book does is it kind of does like almost like a trial and error thing. You just got to keep trying things until something works. Whereas the process that I'm going to go through with you takes us to it without, you know, having to do that trial and error thing. So here's the difference, though. Let's start at number 1 here. What's our a value? 5. It's not 1, so we can't use yesterday's method quite. You're going to somewhat feel like you're doing yesterday's. B is 11, C is 2. So the diamond, what changes a little bit up in the diamond today is we got to take A times C. Why didn't we have to do that yesterday? What would A times C have been yesterday? It would have just been C, right? Because 1 times C is C. So when A is 1, we don't have to go through as much work as we're going to have to do here because it's just, you know, an easier process. But when A is not 1, we're going to first of all have to take A times C to get our top number. So we're going to take 5 times 2. And you're not going to have to show 3 x's like this, but I want you in your notes to see how did we break this down, how did we get it. And our B value is 11. Well, 5 times 2 is 10. We have a positive B, a positive C. That tells us both of our factors should be positive. Okay, where are they? 10 and 1. 1 and 10, whatever way you want to put them. Okay, here's where it now starts to veer off a little bit differently than what we did yesterday. Because here's what students try to do. And then they even do check problems and try to convince themselves and me the next day that they checked out. So if right now we went and did what we did yesterday, we would say the factor name for this is x plus 10 times x plus 1, right? Isn't that what we would have done yesterday? X plus 10, x plus 1. Anybody know what x plus 10? Are you boiling in your head yet? Anybody know what x plus 10 times x plus 1 would get us? What would that product be? So I'm just going to write it down so you have the visual. What would this multiply out to? Because this is, you know, if we can get away with this today, then maybe you can say, oh, you know what, LeGrand, we don't have to do all that extra work. You don't know what you're talking about. Because, anybody know what this multiplies out to? Alicia?
2x squared plus 10x plus 10.
Okay, you're close. You got the plus 10 part right. X times x class is? X squared. And then we got the O and the I step to do. 11x. Is that what we were renaming? No. So, can't do this today. Today, when A is not 1, we don't get to stop and say, oh, I just have to write x plus 10 times x plus 1, and presto, I'm going to have the factor name for that polynomial. We don't get to do that today. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to take that 10 and that 1, and they are going to become, you know, like when we're doing our check problems, they are the O and the I step. They're going to become the O and the I steps products. So 10x plus 1x. Because here's what's going to happen. We are going to replace the bx term up here, this plus 11x. That is going to get, 11x is going to get replaced with 10x and that 1x. Because isn't 10x plus 1x 11x, right? Okay. So it's just going to take its place. So what we're going to do is we're going to write our polynomial, 5x squared, plus 11x, but in place of the plus 11x, we're going to put plus 10x plus 1x. So this is taking the place of that 11x up there. And then we have our plus 2. So we just made our trinomial into a 4-term polynomial. So we have 5x squared, but instead of plus 11x, we have plus 10x plus 1x, and then plus 2. Now we're going to take that and we're going to factor it by grouping. Because that's what we do when we see a 4-term polynomial. We're like, ooh, I wonder if that's factorable by grouping. So there's no subtraction to change, right? So we'll just go ahead and insert some parentheses to make our groups. This wasn't very long ago. So we make 2 groups. They kind of work independent of each other right now. The first group says, what's my GCF? What's the first group's GCF? 5x. What's the result? X plus 2. 5x squared divided by 5x is x. 10x divided by 5x is 2. That's that group. This group's got its own GCF. What's its GCF? 1. The only thing they have in common is a factor of 1. What's the result? 1x divided by 1 is x. 2 divided by 1 is 2. Remember what the goal was when we were factoring by grouping? What do we want? Yeah, in the parentheses, we want that to match. Did they? Okay, so since they match, now we can say, oh, then that means x plus 2, that one, that match, is the GCF of the whole works. So it becomes our first binomial factor. No addition sign here. Now we're multiplying. We back up a parenthesis to it and say, what's the result? So what's the first group after you take the x plus 2 out? What do you have left? 5x. How about the second group? Now we bring this plus sign down. How about the second group? 1, and we got to write that. This is the factored name for our trinomial 5x squared plus 11x plus 2. And yes, we're going to do check problems again. Like I told the other classes, I did decide to come off my high horse and not assign so many problems. If you looked ahead on the website at all, until last night, or yesterday afternoon, I had assigned you 4 through 60 every 4th one with check problems. And I was like, oh, that's easy. Let's back that off. 11 of these is enough. They can learn with 11 of them. But you have to do check problems. So go ahead, check this. See how we did. Does it actually multiply back to 5x squared plus 11x plus 2? Rectangle, foil, your way. This is the only one we're going to check in our notes just because I want you to have more homework time today. But I do want you to check all of them in your homework. Because you need to get good at this right away. We're good. Checks out, doesn't it? Okay. Questions? Okay, we'll practice 2 more together. We won't do check problems for them because we're going to make sure that we just all get the same answer, and then that'll be our check, so that you can get going on your homework. Okay, let's start this one then. Remember, the first thing you always do is identify A, B, and C. What should we show that we're gonna do upstairs in our diamond? 4 times 6. And what goes down here? -14. 4 times 6 is what, class? 24. Okay, we have a positive C value, a negative B value. That tells me they both have to be negative, don't they? Yeah, what are they? -12 and -2. Is A equal to 1? No. When A is not equal to 1, what do I do with those? Make them into, what do they become? They become x's, don't they? -12x plus -2x. That's what that becomes. Now we can write our polynomial 4x squared. You know what, maybe we should just put it like it is right now, so we have clear notes like what did we do here? Well, there's our polynomial that we're actually trying to factor. But since A is not 1, we're going to replace the bx term with what we just got in our diamond. So we have plus a -12x plus a -2x plus 6. So this right here takes the place of that -14x. And now we can factor by grouping. So that's already all add the opposite, so we can just make our groups. And factor by grouping. Okay, everybody do it on their own. We'll see what we get. If we all get the same answer, that'll be our check problem. You're copying me like somebody did in the last class that I knew what I was doing. Do you think you want to keep copying me? Why not? What's the problem there? Yeah, not the same. There's not a match here. X plus -3 right here is not the same as -x plus 3. What am I going to do? Help me out. Go ahead, Alexis. Make the 2 negative. Remember, that's what we do when we can't get them to match. We try and make the GCF of that second group negative and see what happens when we do that. So now we would have a -x, and that would be, or a positive x, excuse me, not a negative. And it would be a -3. Now they match. Do we agree? Anybody get the same answer? If more than half of you got the same answer, then we can move on. Don't lie though. You got the same thing I did? Okay, then let's move on to the next one. Unless you have questions about this one, you got this? Okay, try the next one. Where do you start? What's the first thing you do? ABC, yeah. Do your ABC. Join forces here. What's 6 times -15? -90. Okay, here's the reason I want to join forces, because you might just like shut down at this point because you're like, -90, are you kidding me? Do you think you can get a little bit bigger number? Now, when we have to multiply to get a negative, what's the deal again? One has to be negative and the other has to be positive. Now, when we have a negative and a positive, what we really do when we combine them is we find their difference. We actually find how much distance is there between them. So you know what all we really have to do here is we have to find two factors of 90 that are 1 unit apart. So are 1 and 90 going to cut it? No. Alexis? 9 and 10. They're only 1 unit apart. Now, after we do that, the only other decision we have to make is which one should be negative. The 10. Yeah. So you don't really have to run, like when I know one has to be positive, the other one has to be negative, I look at that B value and I say, what's its absolute value? First of all, it's 1. What factors of my number up there are that far apart from each other? And then that becomes, remember, 9x plus negative 10x. That's what that becomes. Because now we can take our trinomial that we have, our 6x squared, and it must be minus x, and it must be, I forget already, minus 15. We are going to replace this, so 6x squared plus 9x plus negative 10x. I'm going to change this right now to plus a negative 15. Because I'm going to factor by grouping, I know I want my subtractions gone anyway. And now I can make my groups. Do we agree? Anybody have the same answer as me? Whatever. You have a question or you have the same answer? Okay. So think you can do this? Got this? When A is not 1, you gotta work a little harder, don't we? Okay. So once you get started on your homework, you do have to show check problems in your homework. Don't